Welcome back to D&D Basics. This is part 3 of a series that will help you start playing Dungeons & Dragons. In this video, we will be finishing up our examination of the character sheet provided on the Dungeons & Dragons website. More specifically, we will be going over the spellcasting page. We will also look at an example spell and talk about how it and many other spells work during play. With all of that being said, let's get back into basics. Spellcasting class. This is the character's class that they gain spells from. Each spellcasting class follows the same general rules for magic, but also include their own specific rules as well. Spellcasting ability. This is the ability that affects the potential power of a spellcaster's magic. Of the spellcasting classes in the player's handbook, intelligence is used by wizards, wisdom is used by clerics, druids, and rangers, and charisma is used by bards, paladins, sorcerers, and warlocks. The ability to cast spells can also be obtained via certain race features, optional feats, or class options at certain levels. Spell save DC. Some spells do not require a character to make an attack roll. Rather, their target, or those caught in the area of the spell, may need to make a saving throw in an attempt to resist the spell's effects. A character's spell save DC increases with a character's spellcasting ability modifier as well. Spell attack bonus. This represents how well a character can successfully hit a target when making a spell attack roll. Just as with a weapon attack roll, a player rolls a d20 and adds their spell attack bonus to the resulting dice roll. A spell attack bonus equals the spell's related ability modifier plus the character's proficiency bonus. The attack successfully hits the target if the final result is equal to or greater than the target's AC. Spells. Each spellcasting class has a different selection of spells available to them. There are many spells that are common among multiple classes, as well as several spells that are unique to each spellcasting class. Spellcasters start with a number of spells known at level 1 and can learn more as they gain experience and level up. Some magic users know more spells than they could possibly have ready in a single day. Prepared spells are the spells they have readied and can use before needing to take time and prepare a different selection of spells. The general power of a spell is described by its spell level, and the amount of magic a character can produce before needing to rest is represented by spell slots. Spells known. Some spellcasters, such as bards and sorcerers, can only know a limited number of spells from their class spell list. Such classes can only change their spells known when leveling up. Other classes, such as clerics and druids, can immediately know all of the spells available to them from their class spell list as they level up. Wizards are able to know as many spells from their class spell list so long as they are able to fulfill the requirements of recording the spells in their spellbook. Cantrips are spells that are always known and are not intended to be changed when a character levels up. Spells prepared. Regardless of how many spells a character knows, they must undergo the process of preparing a spell before they are able to use it. The process of preparing spells varies for each spellcasting class. Some classes, such as bards and sorcerers, have a limited amount of spells known, thus those spells are always prepared. For every spellcasting class, the number of spells that can be prepared depends on the character's level. Cantrips are spells that are always known and prepared. Spell level. Every spell has a level from 0 to 9. A spell's level is a general indicator of how powerful it is. Level 0 spells are more commonly known as cantrips. Spell level and character level do not correspond directly, and different classes can gain access to spell levels at different rates. For example, a level 3 druid and a level 3 ranger are not able to cast 3rd level spells. Furthermore, the druid has access up to 2nd level spells, whereas the ranger only has access up to 1st level spells. Spell slots. Regardless of how many spells a caster knows or prepares, their use of magic is limited by the amount of spell slots they have access to. Spell slots are organized by spell level, and each spellcasting class has a different amount of spell slots available to them as they level up. For example, a level 3 paladin has access to 3 first level spell slots, whereas a level 3 sorcerer has access to 4 first level spell slots as well as 2 second level spell slots. Spell slots can be regained through short or long rests. The type of rest needed is dependent on the spellcasting class. Cantrips do not use spell slots, thus they can be cast over and over without the need for rest. Using the spell Ray of Sickness, we can define other aspects of spellcasting as well as see how spell attack bonuses and spell save DCs are used. Spell School. Spells are not only categorized by level, but also by their schools of magic. There are 8 schools of magic in D&D: Abjuration, Conjuration, Divination, Enchantment, Evocation, Illusion, Necromancy, and Transmutation. Spellcasters are not restricted by these schools of magic, but wizards are able to specialize in any one of the schools to enhance their spellcasting abilities when using those spells. Casting time. Unlike most weapon attacks that require the use of an action, spells can also be cast using reactions and bonus actions. There are even spells that require more time to be cast, ranging anywhere from minutes to hours. Range and area. Similar to ranged weapons, many spells can affect targets at a distance, though ranged spells only list the maximum distance of their use. Thus, they do not have a portion of their range where the attack is made with disadvantage. A spell may describe its range as touch, meaning it can only be used on targets within 5 feet of the spellcaster, including themselves. Some spells can only be used on the one casting it. Such spells have a range of self. Lastly, some spells have an area of effect that might be described as a line, cone, cube, sphere, or radius, where all targets within the area can be affected by the spell. Spell components. These are the physical requirements that must be met to cast the spell. They come in verbal, somatic, and material forms. If a spellcaster cannot provide one or more of a spell's components, they will not be able to cast the spell. Verbal components require a character's voice. If they are unable to speak or are in an area where sound cannot be created, then they cannot cast the spell. Somatic components require the use of a character's hand. They must have the free use of at least one hand to cast spells with a somatic component. Material components require particular objects, which are specified in a spell's description. A character can use a component pouch or a spellcasting focus in place of a material component, so long as the spell does not indicate a monetary value for the component, or if the material component must be consumed for the casting of the spell. Duration. This is the length of time a spell persists. It can be expressed in rounds, minutes, hours, or even years. Some spell effects can be ended early, either by the spellcaster's own actions or someone with the ability to dispel magic. Instantaneous spells produce magic that only exists for the instant that it creates its effect. Some spells require a spellcaster to maintain concentration in order to keep magic active. Concentration can be broken, most often when a spellcaster takes damage, in which case the spellcaster must make a Constitution saving throw to determine if they can keep the spell active. Spell save. Many spells require their target to make a saving throw to resist the effects of the magic. Different spells will specify which ability the target must use for their saving throw. The target saving throw is made against the spellcaster's spell save DC. Damage and effect. Spellcasting classes have access to more non-physical damage types than non-spellcasting classes. Additionally, there are many spells that can affect targets in more ways than just damaging their hit points. For example, Ray of Sickness can inflict the poison condition on its target. Higher level casting. Many spells can be cast above their base level by expending higher level spell slots to amplify their effects. Additionally, many cantrips will increase in power as a character levels up, even though they do not require the use of spell slots. And with that, we have covered every page of the D&D character sheet. Now, with all that we have learned about spellcasting in this video, we will be able to create any character in the player's handbook, whether they are primarily a spellcasting class, a martial class, or a mix of both? If you still need guidance with making your first character, the next set of videos in this series will demonstrate, step by step, how to make several characters using different race and class combinations. Until then, good luck on your next adventure.